this video, we're going to go over some of the most common PVC pipe fittings, and we're going to kind of review some areas that you need to be checking more often, where they most likely will have some sort of a break, and how to tell what size they are quickly by just looking on the outside versus having to fit them up to different pieces of pipe to help you decide. So let's kind of go over a couple things and go from there. So we've got this one first. This is what you would call your T, obviously because it looks like a T. Now, the way to figure out the size is the majority of the time they're going to have two places that you'll be able to see. Now, the majority of them will have something here on the side. So if you take a look, all right, there we go. So right here under it says Dura, which is the company, but right under it, it'll say 1 inch. So that tells us that this PVC piece is a 1 inch by 1 inch. So everywhere is a 1 inch pipe, meaning that's what will fit into it. That's how you would be able to tell quickly what piece this is. So a couple areas to be aware on this one. Sometimes the backside can definitely break, especially if you've got a lot of water coming in here first. This is where the water is going. If there's nothing nice and hard packed here to help protect it from moving when it's under pressure, this can fracture right here on the backside. Also, depending on if you're putting a lot of extra weight here or tension, you're trying to almost like pull those apart, you can get hairline fractures, some breaks here as well as there. So some common areas of where those T's break up. This is another very, very common piece. This is our slip, or our coupler, excuse me. Now, if you notice on the outside here, it's really not in a good place. It's all smooth. Yes, you've got this. This is just for selling purposes, but there's nowhere to write down what size is this. So what you'll do is you actually have to come up here around the outer ring, and you'll notice a section will say what it is, whether it's a 3/4 inch, a 1/2 inch, 1 inch. So this one says 3/4 inch, which is a 3/4 inch. So that's what size this is. This is a 3/4 inch coupler. Obviously, these don't break as often. If they do, it's going to be some sort of a hairline fracture along the way. Something just didn't line up. But usually those are pretty sturdy. Is got one piece of pipe almost going all the way in, and then one in the other. So there's not a lot of flexing area that it could split like the T did. This is your 90 or your elbow. The reason I call it a 90 is because it's 90 degrees. So this is similar. You can figure out two different ways on this to decide what size. See right there. There we go. So on the outside, this one says 1 inch, or on one of the tops, you got to look. This one shows it here. It says 1 inch. So two areas that you can look for what size this is. The biggest place that this can break would be right here in the middle. A lot of times, if you put it in and then you have the pipe that maybe it's not sitting straight in at a 90, it's out a little bit more, a little wider, 80, 70, 60, or excuse me, other way around, like 100 degrees, 120 degrees. So opening it up more than a 90-degree angle, be aware that that's where a big area that can break, and usually will have a fracture. And then sometimes it can break here on the outside. So be aware of how those fit. And obviously, if it is breaking on the inside or outside, you might need to reconfigure the outline of the how you're putting the pipe together. So be aware of that, because you don't want to just be replacing pipe. That's going to keep having the problem. Now you'll notice that this is also a T, but this one's a little bit unique. Obviously looks similar in size to the 1-inch one. And I'll show you where you can decide, but then on the top here, it's different. And I can kind of show you why. So on here, because the top is really hard, is a much smaller size. It's gonna. How do you figure this out? And what do you use this sort of a T for? So you're gonna find them on one of the outer edges here. And this one says 1x 1x 1/2. So that's 1 inch by 1 inch by ½ inch, meaning this is a 1 inch, this is a 1 inch, and this is a ½ inch. Now the reason why you would want to ever use one, and if you notice in here, it's threaded. So it is a female threaded, or threaded on the inside. The reason why is this would be a piece that you would run what you would call your funny elbow. So this piece would screw right in. And this is where you would put your what you'd call funny pipe. We'll have another video on what that looks like. This is where you'd run each of your sprinkler heads off of. So you would have your 1-inch pipe, you run this off, makes it a lot easier. And then it's all ready to go. So I'll have another video about what that looks like. This is a cap, so sometimes you run into situations where you need to cap something, right? A piece of pipe, don't need it to go anymore. These are pretty simple. On the outside here, usually, let's see if I can show you. So if you can kind of notice, there's some wording. This one just says this isn't 1 inch, so something on the outside, that's where you would do. This is a slip cap. Slip meaning there's no threads. So you'll have threaded, which is what we saw, and then slip means there's nothing. There's no threads on the inside. A last one that's a piece that's used quite a bit is this amazing tool. So what this is this is a slip fix. What that means is sometimes you'll have a section of pipe that's broken, and trying to just get a coupler in to try to fix it, especially if it's in a narrow area underground, it can be really hard to move and manipulate that pipe to make it really fit properly. And so the slip fix is meant to be able to fit in certain areas. You can push it right in to get it fixed. I'll have another video of how to use this the right way, making sure it sets properly. But the main points to be aware of is the way to find out what size this is being able to look out on the outside. So in this case, this one shows there's just some writing here, and this one says 3/4 inch. So that's how you can tell what size that is. And we'll have another video on how to actually use these pieces, glue them up the right way.